Well, welcome back, Blade fans. We've got an unusual one for you today from the B'Yond EDC company, and they're known for collaborating with makers such as Dirk Pinkerton to come out with some pretty unusual blades. They have no qualms about stepping it up and trying new things, such as the Gara, a Dirk Pinkerton claw design, a fuller only opener. So you've seen that review on my channel, hopefully. If you haven't, check it out. But let's talk about this Kibuga. And Kibuga is, according to the B'Yond EDC channel, or I should say webpage, see if I can pull this up again. The term is derived from a African Kinyarwanda language for arena. So Kibuga means arena. This is the knife for the modern warrior, a blade designed for effortless penetration paired with a flipper transforming into a finger guard and a generous choil for close-up work rising out of the hourglass figured handle. G10 handle. We'd be amiss if we didn't mention the ace up its sleeve, a steel reinforced lanyard ring that can also be pressed into a double roll as a less than lethal impact weapon. Whew. Okay, I was reading from their website. So, having said that and giving you that long-winded discussion, information, etc., from the B'Yond EDC site, I can tell you that we're going to measure this up in a moment, but we're going to take a look around first because it is unusual and has some features that even they don't mention in their description. It's basically a dagger style blade with an offset grind. It's D2. It has a very nice satin finish, I must say. And this is a $60 knife, so it's in budget territory. Now they talk about, let's roll out a little bit here, and a little bit more. They talk about this pommel being a ring. So the first thing you think when you see a ring is, oh, karambit. Well, you're not going to stick your finger through there. It wasn't designed for that. It is a steel, yes, ring with a G10 liner. Couple of screws there. Deep carry clip is deep as you can go. Well, you probably could have gone a little deeper, but it's a fold over metal clip, spring steel. Their idea is that this can be used for that or other body parts. So it is designed as a self-defense kind of tactical weapon. I know you don't always like the term tactical, but tactical kind of being all-encompassing for a knife that you're not necessarily going to carry to cut apples with, all right? It is a flipper, nicely tuned, very nice detent. No wiggle, no wobble, no lash there. As a muted flipper tab that is jimped with two jimps there, if you want to call it each groove a jimp. Fires very nicely. You can't quite push button it. You've got to light switch it, and for that it works well. You can't really fail it because it's a pretty strong detent and you got to commit to it. However, alternate methods of opening. There is this thumb disc, if you want to call it that, that stands proud on top of the back of the blade and is conical shaped. And that's very interesting because while you can thumb it open like that and roll it open or fire it open, you can see that they relieved this portion of the blade down into this disc, and this effectively gives you a notch where you can wave this open from the pocket. I've done that, and it's actually quite easy. Now, they don't talk about that for whatever reason, but it was obviously designed with that in mind. So, very cool. You can pocket open it, aka wave. Credit due to Mr. Emerson and his wave opening knives. This does the same thing. Obviously, you could remove it if you didn't want it, and that would probably give you a little more of a space for your thumb. There is no jimping for the thumb, but pushing on this disc, you have a definite thumb stop there. That is certainly not a finger choil unless you have extremely small miniature fingers, and that heel of the blade does point back pretty sharply into that space. So we're going to consider that a sharpening choil. We've got a fuller groove down the middle there. We've got a fuller on the blade with a flat that it falls into. The top portion of the so-called dagger grind is basically just a swedge. And as with many of these dagger grinds that are not sharpened on both edges, it is an offset, intentionally, grind. And the reason that a lot of these makers or these manufacturers don't send that line right down the middle is that it makes the point more frail. You've got reinforcement when you offset that grind. As you can see, the flat travels all the way down to the point, and it is fairly robust. It's a nicely made knife for $60. I would say, you know, it falls right into that realm of Bestex coming in at this level. So let's measure it up. Enough banter. Blade banter. Wasn't that like a Blade HQ thing? By the way, this came directly from B'Yond EDC, but they are available, speaking of Blade HQ, on their site. 9 inches, we're going to call that. Close enough. And 3 3/4 to the handle, 3 1/2 to the cutting edge. Okay. Blade stock in millimeters. Let's see where we can grab it. Can I fit it right in there? Maybe not. Let's half close it a little. Getting into dangerous territory here. I'm going to make sure it doesn't close on my fingers. We've got 3.6 millimeters. Looks like I'm going to have to do it again for the inch, guys. Is that a 0.14? Yeah, 0.14 inches. And how about the handle? 0.59. So chunky enough to hang on to, but I'd say it doesn't make it too fat for the pocket. Let's take out the old scale and see what we got for a weight. If it zeros, let's zero it. Okay, quickly. 5.62 ounces. Not a lightweight. And that reason is that it is not weight relieved whatsoever. And that's how you save money on some budget knives, and you can put your money into features like that ring and what have you. Now the ring, you might think, would be a good way to pull it out of the pocket. You can pinch it. You got to get your fingers right in there, and you can use that to pull it out. But then once it opens, you basically have no grip on the knife. So I would slide my hand into the pocket and grab it about there if it's going to be waving out. Then you're more or less in position to hold it that way. That's my take on it. You may have your own if you pick one of these up. Now, it's available in this black G10 handle, but it's also available in a jade natural G10 handle. Those seem to be in shorter supply than the black ones, but I'll leave you some links. And these are available in a few different places. And they've dropped from like $69, I think, to $60 even, which is pretty good. Here it is again compared to the Gara, much smaller knife. And if we want to talk Dagger style blades, how about this big boy? Recently reviewed, and that is the Off-Grid Knives Stinger XL. And it's really only about an inch longer. So it's a 4-inch blade, but really just technically 1/4 inch longer than the Kibuga. Boy, I got to remember all these names. How about a standard comparison to the Griptilian? See, this ring makes it a good deal longer overall. Got a good inch on top of the length of the Griptilian. How does it fare against the long Rat 1? Exactly the same length as the Rat 1, folks. Well, another look around. I like the knife. You got this natural swell here, although you don't have jimping. It would have been nice to have some jimping. This is relatively slippery, but you got some jimping there on the flipper tab that becomes the guard that they talk about. So it's pretty good. And you can lock it in the hand pretty well, and you do have that as a non-lethal impact device. It carries well, or holds well, I should say, in the point down position, edge in or edge out. So that's pretty nice because the handle is really neutral. I mean, you got a relief here and a chamfer on the release. It is on bearings, quite smooth yet not drop shut just yet. Haven't really worked it in. It is a very interesting knife and a bold statement by B'Yond EDC. I congratulate them on that. If you're looking for a defensive knife that has these qualifications, D2, yes, it will stain, it will corrode, not easily, but more so than S30V, S35VN, what have you. But it's only $60. Could they have done it in 154 cm and bumped the price up a little? Possibly, but that's their call. Maybe there'll be, if this is successful, future runs of it in other steels. But there you have it. I present to you the Kibuga by B'Yond EDC, a very interesting and cool multifunction knife. Now don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe, and I will be back with you soon.